So I just really quickly wanted to do a video going over the procedure I've settled on for doing the fabric grip that we've come up with. And the first step is to have the fabric already laid out flat on a flat surface. And this is a bit wrinkly because it's been stuffed in a pile for a while, but this should be flat enough for it to work. And that's just going to be sitting, waiting for me to finish the other steps. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my plies that I'm going to be putting the grip on, and I'm going to use my glue roller. I'm going to make sure I don't have any glue boogers or dried glue, because that will get under the grip and make little bumps. And I'm just going to put down some glue. There we go. So the fabric is really thirsty, so I'm putting down about as thick as a layer as the roller will let me. Probably not quite twice the usual amount that you'd use for laying up plies on wood, but you know, definitely at least 50% more. So once you get it all glued up, go back to your fabric, check it again for flatness, make sure there's nothing on it. And we're going to lay the wood directly on the already flat fabric. And then I'm going to do the other, glue up this other side real quick, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I just wanted to get a close-up real quick of just how thick this glue is. It is really important to get the layer of glue really even, as it is going to wet the fabric and slightly discolor the fabric. And so you want that to happen very evenly so it's not noticeable in the pattern. And so yeah, there's a really good amount of glue here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put that on before it starts to get a little too dry. Alright, so I goofed up a little bit in my instructions. Instead of leaving the board flat down and putting any weight on it, what I've been doing with my previous press up is actually, once I put the board down, I then turn the whole thing over and let the weight of the fabric hold it down to the wood. And the reason why leaving it face down and putting weight on it was a bad idea is because when you put the glue on this side, it gets into the wood and causes it to expand on this side of the wood, and on this side it doesn't expand, so the whole thing sort of curls, and that caused the corners to curl up and have really poor glue adhesion even with weight on the thing. And so that it just didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. So I found it way easier to put the fabric on the wood for the top and bottom sheets before I press the decks. Trying to put the glue down on a pressed board is a lot more difficult and a lot more inconsistent. And if you mess up on the glue and the fabric isn't on there very good, then you're messing up a little bit on an almost already completed deck. Whereas if this gets messed up on this stage, there's almost been no time or money been put into it so far. The other thing is, what you could do is, you know, glue the board, glue the wood, and then lay the fabric onto the wood. And I found that to be really difficult because what happens is the fabric touches a spot and it sticks, and it's really thirsty, and so it pulls a bunch of glue into it, and then if you have to move it, then it brings the glue with it, and you have a spot that's got plenty of glue, and then a spot that's got less glue, and it's just a lot more effort to pull the fabric all straight. And I've tried doing that a couple times, and it's much easier just to have the fabric laid flat out somewhere, and then you just place the board onto the already flat fabric. It's much easier. I don't think I mentioned earlier, but the glue I'm using is Titebond 3. The main reason I'm using Titebond 3 is because of how waterproof this is. I want the grip not to just come off when it gets wet, which would be a problem if you use Titebond 1. It would be less of a problem if it was Titebond 2, but with Titebond 3, Titebond 3 is really resilient against water, so that's why I want to have it when I'm doing the fabric. I guess one other tip I'd like to leave is, and let's say you want to put fabric on a board that's already pressed up, you want to retrofit something you've got, and you're trying to lay down the fabric onto a glued up board rather than setting a board onto flat fabric. In that case, if you do have difficulties in laying the fabric down flat and it snags and you're trying to, you get a bubble or a kink somewhere and you have to pull it out, what I found really helpful for that is to have just a spray bottle of water. And if I wet the whole top of the fabric, I'm able to slide and move and reposition the fabric a lot easier. The downside to that is it's going to cause the glue to get pulled further up into the fabric, so you lose a bit of the fabric texture. And because you're pulling more glue up into the fabric, there's less glue acting as in the interface between the fabric and the wood, and so the bond can be a lot weaker. So that's just a trade-off that exists. Alright, so this is one of the completed fabric boards I've made. This top was a Hawaiian t-shirt I just got at the thrift store. On the bottom, it's just some cotton fabric I ordered specifically to experiment with. And they're both working really well. And this board's had quite a few hours already on it, and the fabric's holding up really well. So this fabric grip, one of the main things about it that makes it nice is the fact that it's not going to chew your stuff up. It's not going to chew your pants up. It's not going to chew your fingers up. You can carry it really comfortably. This board particularly is really lightweight. If you put it in your locker with your things, or if you try to carry it in your backpack, the fabric is just going to play friendly with stuff and not chew it up. But of course it also can look really awesome as well. So yeah, that is a completed fabric board. Alright, so that's the whole process so far that I figured out in terms of using fabric and gluing it on for grip tape. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can just put in the comments. Till then, Longboard Technology, over and out.